The autumn wind carried the smell of rain through the streets of Seoul. The year was 2047, and the city had never looked more beautiful. Tall buildings touched the clouds, lights of every color painted the night sky, but Kang Tae did not notice any of it. He stood at his post near the east gate of the Grand Convention Center, watching the shadows. Tae was 28 years old. He had served in the Korean military for 10 years. His face was calm, his eyes sharp, and his body carried the scars of 3 combat tours. Other soldiers called him the Wall, because nothing seemed to shake him. But inside, Tae carried a weight that never left him. 3 years ago, in a small village far from home, he had failed to save a family. He arrived too late. The memory followed him like a ghost. He became a soldier to protect people. That failure taught him that he could never stop trying. Tonight, he was assigned to perimeter security for the International Peace Summit. World leaders from 40 countries had gathered to discuss trade, climate, and peace. Tae's job was simple: stand at the gate, check credentials, and report anything strange. It was boring work. Important people walked past him without a glance. To them, he was just another uniform. Tae did not mind. He was not here for praise. He was here to do his duty. The first 2 days passed without incident. On the third night, Tae finished his shift at midnight. He should have returned to the barracks. Instead, he walked through the convention center's gardens. He needed quiet. He needed to think. The gardens were empty. Stone paths wound between old trees and small ponds. Paper lanterns hung from branches, casting soft orange light. Tae sat on a wooden bench and closed his eyes. For a moment, he allowed himself to breathe. "You look tired." The voice was soft and clear. Tae opened his eyes. She wore a simple dark coat over a gray dress. Her black hair fell past her shoulders. She was perhaps 30 years old, with a face that seemed both young and ancient at the same time. Her eyes were the strangest thing about her. They were dark brown, almost black, but they seemed to hold light within them. Tae stood quickly and bowed his head. "I am sorry. I did not know anyone was here. This area should be empty." The woman smiled. It was a small smile, touched with sadness. "I am allowed to be here. I am part of a small delegation. My name is Yuna." "I am Corporal Kang Tae," he said. "Security detail." "I know," Yuna said. "I have seen you at your post. You stand very still, like a statue, but your eyes never stop moving." Tae did not know what to say. He was not used to being noticed. Yuna walked closer and sat on the bench. After a moment, she gestured for him to sit as well. Tae hesitated, then obeyed. They sat in silence for a long time. The wind moved through the trees. Somewhere, water dripped into a pond. "Why did you become a soldier?" Yuna asked. The question surprised him. No one had asked him that in years. Tae thought about lying. He could give her the easy answer: duty, honor, country. But something about this woman made him want to tell the truth. "When I was young," Tae said slowly, "there was a fire in my village. Many homes burned. I was small and weak. I could not help anyone. I watched people lose everything. Some lost their lives." He paused. "I became a soldier so I would never be helpless again, so I could protect people who cannot protect themselves." Yuna listened without interrupting. When he finished, she nodded slowly. "That is a good reason," she said. "Better than most." "Why do you ask?" Tae said. Yuna looked up at the sky. The clouds had parted, revealing a few faint stars. "I have met many soldiers in my life," she said. "Warriors, generals, commanders. Most of them fight for power, for glory, for revenge. Very few fight simply to protect others." She turned to look at him. "You are different." Tae felt heat rise to his face. He was not used to such words. "I am not special," he said. I am just a soldier doing his job. Perhaps, Yuna said. But let me ask you something else. She leaned forward slightly. Do you believe kindness is weakness? The question hung in the air. Tay frowned. He had heard other soldiers say such things. Kindness gets you killed. Mercy is for fools. But he had never believed that. No, Tay said firmly. I do not believe that. Why not? Because, Tay searched for the right words. Because weapons break, strength fades, armies fall. But kindness stays. It changes people. It gives them hope when everything else is gone. Kindness is the only strength that matters when everything else fails. For a long moment, Yuna simply stared at him. Something moved behind her eyes. Surprise? Pain? Tay could not tell. Then she smiled again, and this time it was different, warmer, real. You truly believe that, she said. It was not a question. I do. Yuna stood. She looked down at Tay with an expression he could not read. Thank you, Corporal Kang, she said. You have given me much to think about. She turned and began to walk away. After a few steps, she paused. The universe is very large, she said without looking back. Sometimes we forget that small acts of goodness matter, that one person can make a difference. She glanced over her shoulder. Do not forget who you are, Kang Tay. The galaxy needs more people like you. Before Tay could respond, she disappeared into the shadows between the trees. He sat alone in the garden for a long time. Her words echoed in his mind. The galaxy needs more people like you. It was a strange thing to say, an odd choice of words. But Tay was just a soldier. He did not think too deeply about it. He returned to his barracks, slept for a few hours, and woke before dawn to begin another day. He did not know that Yuna had watched him from a window above, her human disguise flickering for just a moment to reveal something else beneath. He did not know that their conversation would be recorded and studied by beings beyond the stars. He did not know that his simple words about kindness had just tipped the scales of history. Kang Tay only knew that he had met a strange woman in a garden, and that something about her made him feel like he had passed a test he did not know he was taking. 2 days later, his world would change forever. The night was cold and dark. Rain fell in sheets, hammering against metal and stone. Tay sat in the back of an armored vehicle, his rifle across his knees. He was part of a convoy, escorting several diplomatic vehicles to the airport. The summit had ended. The VIPs were going home. It should have been a simple job. 20 minutes on the road, straight path, heavy security. But something felt wrong. Tay could not explain it. He had learned to trust his instincts over the years. Right now, his instincts were screaming. The rain was too heavy. The streets were too empty. The radio chatter was too quiet. He looked at Lieutenant Day, who sat across from him. Day was older, with gray hair and a calm face. He had been Tay's commanding officer for 5 years. More than that, he was a friend. Something wrong? Day asked. I do not know, Tay said, but stay alert. Day nodded. They had survived too many missions together not to. The convoy turned onto a wide bridge that crossed the Han River. Below them, black water rushed through the night. Above them, the city lights were blurred by rain. Then the world exploded. The first blast hit the lead vehicle. Fire bloomed in the darkness. Metal screamed as the car flipped and crashed into the bridge railing. The convoy stopped. Soldiers shouted. Gunfire erupted from both sides of the bridge. Tay moved without thinking. He kicked open the vehicle door and rolled onto the wet pavement. Bullets struck the ground near his feet. He crawled behind a concrete barrier and raised his rifle. Enemies everywhere, at least 20 of them. They wore black masks and carried military weapons. They moved like trained soldiers, not common criminals. This was not random. This was planned. Ambush! Day yelled into the radio. "We need backup. Multiple hostiles." The radio was dead. Someone had jammed their communications. Tay fired 3 shots and dropped 2 attackers, but more kept coming. They were focusing their assault on one vehicle in the middle of the convoy, a black sedan with tinted windows. Tay remembered that car. He had seen it in the convoy list. It carried a minor diplomatic delegation. Nothing important, nobody famous, but the attackers wanted that car very badly. An explosion tore through the night. The black sedan flipped onto its side and burst into flames. Tay's heart stopped. Whoever was inside would burn alive. He did not wait for orders. He ran. Bullets whipped past his head. One struck his shoulder. Pain exploded through his body. He ignored it. He kept running. He reached the burning car. The heat was terrible. Smoke filled his lungs. Through the shattered window, he saw a figure inside. A woman. Her face was covered in blood. Her eyes were closed. Yuna. Tay did not hesitate. He grabbed the door and pulled. The metal was hot enough to burn his hands. He pulled harder. His muscles screamed. The door broke free. He reached inside and wrapped his arms around Yuna. She was barely breathing. Her body was limp. He dragged her out of the car, just as another explosion sent fire shooting into the sky. An attacker appeared from the smoke. He pointed his weapon at Tay's chest. Tay drew his sidearm and fired. The man fell. 2 more came. Tay shot one. The other reached him before he could fire again. They fought hand to hand, crashing against the burning vehicle. Tay took a knife to his ribs. He drove his elbow into the man's throat and threw him over the railing into the river below. More enemies approached. 5 of them. Too many. Tay lifted Yuna onto his back. She was light, almost weightless. He could feel her heart beating faintly against his spine. "Hold on," he whispered. "I will get you out of here." He ran. The bridge was chaos. Fire, smoke, screaming, gunfire. Bodies lay everywhere. Tay did not look at them. He focused only on moving forward. 1 step, then another, then another. A bullet grazed his ribs. He stumbled but did not fall. Blood soaked through his uniform. His vision blurred. His legs felt like stone. But he kept running. He left the bridge and entered the narrow streets of the old district. The attackers followed. He could hear their footsteps behind him, their shouts, their weapons clicking. Tay ducked into an alley, then another, then another. He knew these streets. He had patrolled them during training. He knew every corner, every shadow, every hiding place. The rain kept falling. It washed the blood from his face. It hid his tracks. He ran for what felt like hours. In truth, it was less than 15 minutes. But every second was agony. His wounds burned. His arms shook. His breath came in ragged gasps. Finally, he reached a security checkpoint. Korean military police stood behind sandbags, their weapons ready. "Help!" Tay shouted. "Medical emergency!" The soldiers rushed forward. They took Yuna from his arms. They called for medics. They surrounded him with protection. Tay fell to his knees. The world spun around him. Through the haze, he saw Yuna being carried away on a stretcher. Her hand moved. Her eyes opened for just a second. She looked at him. "Thank you," she whispered, so quiet he almost missed it. Then Tay collapsed. He dreamed of fire and darkness. He dreamed of running through endless streets. He dreamed of the woman in the garden, her eyes filled with stars. He woke 3 days later in a military hospital. Machines beeped around him. Lieutenant Day sat in a chair beside his bed, looking tired but relieved. "You are awake," Day said. "Good, we were worried." Tay tried to speak. His throat was dry. Day gave him water. "What happened?" Tay managed to ask. The convoy was ambushed by terrorists, Day said. 13 soldiers died. Many more were wounded. He paused. But you saved 17 people that night, Tay, including the woman you carried out of that car. Tay closed his eyes. 17 people, but 13 soldiers had died. He did not feel like a hero. He felt like he had failed again. The woman, Tay said. Yuna, is she alive? Day hesitated. It was a small thing, but Tay noticed. She survived, Day said carefully. Her delegation left the country early, for security reasons. I want to see her. That is not possible. Why not? He looked away, and in that moment, Tay knew something was very wrong. The woman he had saved was not just a diplomatic attaché. She was something more, something secret. And Tay was determined to find out the truth. The hospital room was white and quiet. Tay spent 2 weeks there, recovering from his wounds. The doctors said he was lucky. The bullet in his shoulder had missed the bone. The knife wound in his ribs had not touched any organs. He would heal completely. But the doctors also looked confused. His wounds were closing faster than they should. Tissue that should take months to repair was healing in days. They ran tests. They found nothing unusual. They called it a miracle and moved on. Tay did not believe in miracles. He believed in answers. During his recovery, many people visited him. Generals came to shake his hand. Reporters wanted interviews. Politicians spoke of medals and honors. Tay smiled politely and said little. He did not care about fame. He only cared about one thing. The woman named Yuna. Every time he asked about her, people changed the subject. Her delegation had left. There were no records of her full identity. Her role at the summit was unclear. It was as if she had never existed. One morning, Captain Sok entered his room. Sok was the head of security for the summit. He was a large man with a hard face and cold eyes. He closed the door behind him and sat in the chair by the window. Corporal Kang, he said, I hear you have been asking questions. I want to know about the woman I saved, Tay said simply. Her name was Yuna. She was a cultural attaché. She survived and returned to her country. That is all you need to know. Which country? Sok did not answer. What was her delegation? Tay pressed. I checked the summit records. There is no delegation that matches her description. No country claimed her as part of their group. Sok leaned forward. His voice dropped low. Listen to me carefully, Corporal. You are a hero. You saved lives. You will receive medals and promotions. Your future is bright. But if you keep asking questions, that future will disappear. Do you understand? Tay met his eyes. No, sir, I do not understand. I nearly died saving that woman. I deserve to know who she was. For a long moment, Sek stared at him. Then he stood and walked to the door. Some secrets are bigger than soldiers, Sek said. Some truths would break the world if they were known. For your own good, Tay, let this go. He left without another word. But Tay could not let it go. He had never been good at following orders that did not make sense. When he was released from the hospital, he began to investigate. He was careful. He asked questions quietly. He visited old contacts. He searched through records that he should not have accessed. What he found made no sense. The satellite footage from the night of the attack had been deleted. Officially, it was corrupted by the rain. But Tay knew military satellites. They did not corrupt easily. The bodies of the attackers had been taken by an international agency before Korean investigators could examine them. No one knew which agency. No records existed. Witnesses who saw Yuna gave different descriptions. One said she was tall. Another said she was short. One remembered black hair. Another remembered brown. It was as if people could not quite remember what she looked like. And then there were the strange marks on Tay's wounds. When the bandages came off, He expected ugly scars. Instead, his skin was smooth and clean, with only faint silver lines where the injuries had been. The doctors had no explanation. Tay began to wonder if he was going mad. One night, 3 months after the attack, he sat alone in his small apartment. Rain fell outside his window. He was reading through notes he had collected, trying to make sense of the puzzle. A soft footstep behind him. He spun around, reaching for his weapon. A woman stood in the corner of his room. She was young, with short black hair and sharp features. She wore a dark suit that seemed to absorb the light. Tay had never seen anyone enter his apartment. He had not heard the door open. "Who are you?" he demanded. "How did you get in here?" The woman raised her hands slowly. "I am not here to hurt you, Corporal Kang. My name is Mira." "That does not answer my question." "I know." Mira stepped closer. Her movements were strange. Too smooth, too graceful, like a dancer or a predator. "I was sent to give you a message." "By who?" "By someone who owes you a great debt." Tay's heart beat faster. "Yuna." Mira smiled slightly. "You are clever. That is good. You will need to be clever in the days ahead." "Where is she? Who is she really?" "I cannot answer those questions. The time is not right." Mira walked to the window and looked out at the rain. "But I can tell you this. What you did that night mattered more than you can possibly understand. You saved something precious. Something that affects not just your country, but your entire world." "I do not understand." "I know." Mira turned back to face him. "But understanding will come. Be patient. Continue to be the man you are. Do not lose your kindness. Do not lose your courage." She moved toward the door. "Wait," Tay said. "You cannot just leave. I have so many questions." Mira paused with her hand on the doorknob. She looked at him over her shoulder. "What you did will not be forgotten," she said. "That is all I can tell you for now. When the truth is ready to be revealed, you will be called. Until then, live your life. Be a good soldier. Be a good man." She opened the door and stepped out. Tay rushed after her. He ran to the stairs, then to the lobby. He searched the street. Mira was gone. He returned to his apartment and checked his security system. It showed no entry, no exit. According to the cameras, Mira had never been there. Tay sat down heavily on his bed. His hands were shaking. Something impossible was happening, something beyond his understanding. He thought of Yuna's words in the garden. "The galaxy needs more people like you." At the time, it had seemed like a strange way to speak. Now it seemed like something else entirely. Tay looked out at the night sky. Through the clouds, he could see a few faint stars. For the first time in his life, he wondered what else might be out there. He did not know that his answer would come sooner than he expected. He did not know that his whole understanding of the universe was about to change forever. For now, he simply sat in the darkness, waiting for a truth that was bigger than anything he had ever imagined. 6 months passed. Tay returned to active duty. He trained new soldiers. He went on patrol. He did his job well, as he always had. But part of his mind never stopped thinking about that night, about Yuna, about Mira, about the questions that had no answers. Then, on a cold morning in early spring, everything changed. A black car arrived at his base. 2 men in dark suits stepped out. They did not wear military uniforms. They did not show identification. They simply told Tay to come with them. His commanding officer did not object. In fact, he looked afraid. Tay climbed into the car. They drove for hours, deep into the mountains. The roads became narrow. The trees grew thick. Finally, they arrived at a facility built into the side of a cliff. It looked like an old mining station, but Tay could see the hidden cameras, the reinforced doors, the armed guards. This place did not officially exist. They led him through a maze of corridors, down elevators that went deep underground. Finally, they reached a room that looked like something from a science fiction movie. Screens covered the walls, showing images of stars and planets. Strange symbols glowed on control panels. The air hummed with energy. A woman waited for him there. She was middle-aged, with gray hair tied back and glasses on her face. She wore a simple uniform with no rank insignia. "Corporal Kang Tae," she said. "Thank you for coming. My name is Director Han. I lead this facility." "What is this place?" Tae asked. "This is the Korean Extraterrestrial Contact Division," Han said calmly. "We have existed in secret for 40 years. Our mission is to monitor and prepare for contact with intelligent life from other worlds." Tae stared at her. "Extraterrestrial? You mean aliens?" "Yes." "Aliens are real?" "Yes." Tae's legs felt weak. He had considered many possibilities over the past months. He had imagined secret agencies, international conspiracies, hidden governments. But this was beyond anything he had imagined. "Please," Han said, "sit down. There is much to explain." Tae sat in a chair. His mind was spinning. Han poured him a glass of water and sat across from him. "Humanity is not alone in the universe," Han began. "We have known this for decades. There are many intelligent species among the stars. Some are peaceful, some are dangerous, some have been watching Earth for a very long time." She pressed a button. The screens around them changed. They showed images of ships unlike anything built by humans, cities that floated in clouds, beings with forms that were beautiful and terrifying. "Among the oldest and most powerful civilizations is the Valoran Dominion," Han continued. "They rule over 1,000 worlds. They have technology that makes our best weapons look like toys. For centuries, they have observed humanity, studying us, judging us." "Judging us for what?" Tae asked. "To decide if we are worthy of joining the galactic community, or if we are a threat that must be contained." Tae felt cold. "What happens if they decide we are a threat?" Tae asked. Han did not answer. She did not need to. "The woman you saved," Han said slowly, "was not a diplomatic attaché. Her name is Lyra. She is the Empress of the Valoran Dominion." The words hit Tae like a physical blow. He could not speak. He could not breathe. "Empress Lyra came to Earth in secret," Han continued. "She wanted to see humanity for herself, not through reports or recordings, but with her own eyes. The summit was a cover for her visit, a final test before she made her decision about our species. But the attack," Tae managed to say. "Who tried to kill her?" "A faction called the Neth Collective. They are a group of alien species who believe humans are dangerous. They think we are violent, primitive, and unworthy of joining the stars. They wanted to assassinate Empress Lyra and blame it on human terrorists. This would give them the excuse they needed to destroy Earth." Tae closed his eyes. He thought of that night. The fire, the bullets, the blood. He had fought so hard just to save one woman. He had not known that the fate of his entire world hung in the balance. "You stopped them," Han said. "You saved the Empress, and in doing so you may have saved all of humanity." "I did not know," Tae whispered. "I just saw someone who needed help." "I know," Han smiled. "That is exactly why what you did matters so much." She pressed another button. A holographic image appeared in the center of the room. It was Yuna, but not the Yuna he remembered. Her skin glowed faintly with soft light. Her eyes shone like captured stars. She was taller, more graceful, clearly not human. But her face was the same. Her sad, knowing smile was the same. "Corporal Kang Tae," the image said. Her voice was exactly as he remembered it, soft and clear, like water over stones. "When we met in that garden, I did not tell you who I was. I could not. But I watched you. I listened to your words. I saw your heart." The image stepped closer, as if she could see him. "You did not know that I was an empress. You did not know that saving me would matter to anyone beyond one injured woman. You acted because it was right, because you believe that kindness is strength, because you would rather die than let an innocent person suffer." The holographic Lyra reached out, as if to touch his face. In 10,000 years of watching your kind, I have seen your wars, your cruelty, your mistakes. I have seen reasons to fear humanity. But I have also seen this. A soldier bleeding in the rain, carrying a stranger to safety, asking for nothing in return. Her eyes seemed to shine brighter. You have given me hope, Kang Tae. Hope for your people. Hope for your world. Because of you, I have decided, Earth will be invited to join the galactic community. Humanity will take its first steps among the stars. Tae felt tears on his face. He did not know when he had started crying. I cannot thank you enough, Lyra said, but I will spend the rest of my reign trying. You are a good man, Kang Tae, the best of what humanity can be. Never forget that. The image faded. Tae sat in silence for a long time. Director Han waited patiently. Finally, Tae looked up. What happens now? Now, Han said, everything changes. Formal contact will be made within the year. Humanity will learn the truth. We will join a community of species that spans the galaxy. She leaned forward. And we will need people like you, Corporal. People who can bridge the gap between our world and theirs. People who can show the galaxy what humanity truly is. Tae thought of Yuna in the garden, of her question about kindness, of his answer. Kindness is the only strength that matters when everything else fails. He had believed those words his whole life. Now he understood that they meant more than he had ever imagined. What do you need me to do? He asked. Han smiled. For now, go home, rest, process what you have learned. When the time comes, we will call for you. She stood and offered her hand. Welcome to a larger universe, Corporal Kang. Humanity is going to need heroes. I believe you are one of them. Tae shook her hand. His mind was full of stars. 1 year later, the world was different. The announcement had come on a spring morning. Every screen on Earth showed the same image, a fleet of beautiful silver ships hovering above the clouds. The voice of Empress Lyra spoke in every language, translated perfectly, explaining that humanity was not alone. There was panic at first, fear, chaos. Some people refused to believe. Others thought it was the end of the world. Religions struggled. Governments scrambled. For a few terrible weeks, it seemed like human civilization might tear itself apart. But then something strange happened. People began to calm down. They began to listen. The Veleron ambassadors came to Earth not with weapons, but with gifts. Medicine that cured diseases. Technology that cleaned the air and water. Knowledge that solved problems humans had struggled with for centuries. Slowly, carefully, humanity took its first steps into a larger universe. Tae watched it all from a distance. He had been promoted to sergeant, then to lieutenant. He was assigned to a special unit that worked with the first Valoran representatives. He translated between worlds, helped smooth misunderstandings, and showed the visitors that humans could be trusted. It was good work, important work, but Tae felt restless. One evening, Director Han came to his quarters. She looked older than when he had first met her. The past year had been hard on everyone. Lieutenant Kang, she said, I have a proposal for you. I am listening. The Valoran Dominion has requested a human liaison, someone to live among them, to learn their ways and teach them ours. Someone who can represent the best of humanity to a galaxy that is still unsure about us. Tae understood. They want me. Empress Lyra asked for you personally. Han smiled. You made quite an impression on her. Tae looked out his window. The night sky was different now. He knew that among those stars were worlds he could barely imagine. Civilizations older than human history. Wonders beyond description. I do not know if I am the right person, Tae said. I am just a soldier. I do not know how to be an ambassador. You know how to be a good man, Han said. That is more important than any training. She placed a folder on his desk. Think about it. You have 1 week to decide. After she left, Tay opened the folder. Inside was information about the liaison position, the training he would receive, the ship that would take him to the Veleron homeworld, the life he would live among the stars. It was everything he had never dared to dream of. But still, he hesitated. That night he walked through the city. Seoul had changed. Veleron technology glowed in the buildings. Alien visitors walked the streets, their strange forms no longer causing fear. Human children played with devices that would have seemed like magic a year ago. Tay sat on a bench in a small park. The same park where he had met Yuna. The garden was different now, lit by soft lights that hung in the air without any support. But the old trees remained, the stone paths, the sound of water. He closed his eyes and remembered that night, the question she had asked him, the answer he had given. Do you believe kindness is weakness? Kindness is the only strength that matters when everything else fails. When he opened his eyes, he found an envelope on the bench beside him. It had not been there a moment ago. His name was written on the front in elegant Korean letters. He opened it carefully. Inside was a single piece of paper, handwritten. Dear Kang Tae, I am told that you hesitate, that you do not believe you are worthy of the role I have asked you to fill. This does not surprise me. It is one of the things I admire most about you. True heroes rarely see themselves as heroes. Let me tell you what I see. The galaxy is very old. It is full of species who have achieved greatness. Empires that span thousands of worlds, minds that have solved the deepest mysteries of existence. We have power beyond your imagination. We have technology that can reshape stars. But we have lost something along the way. In our pursuit of strength, we forgot the value of compassion. In our quest for knowledge, we ignored the wisdom of the heart. We became cold and careful, always calculating, never simply caring. Then I came to Earth. I expected to find what the reports said, a violent species, dangerous and unpredictable. And yes, I saw violence. I saw cruelty. I saw the worst of what humans can be. But I also saw you. I saw a soldier who believed that kindness was strength, who carried a bleeding stranger through fire and rain, who asked for nothing except the chance to help. Tae, the galaxy does not need more warriors. It does not need more scientists or politicians or kings. It needs more people like you, people who remind us why life matters, why connection matters, why compassion matters. You are not just representing humanity to the stars. You are showing us what we have forgotten. You are teaching us what we lost. I do not ask you to be an ambassador or a diplomat. I ask you to be exactly what you have always been. A good man who believes that kindness is never weakness. Come to the stars, Kang Tae. Let us learn from each other. Let us build something new together. I will be waiting. With hope and gratitude, Lyra. Tae read the letter 3 times. Each time, he felt something crack open in his chest. Something warm and bright that he had kept locked away for most of his life. He thought of the family he had failed to save years ago. The guilt he had carried, the feeling that nothing he did would ever be enough. Maybe he had been wrong. Maybe one person could make a difference. Maybe kindness really could change the world. Maybe it could change the galaxy. 3 days later, Tae stood on a platform outside Seoul. A Valoran shuttle waited for him, its silver surface glowing in the morning light. Hundreds of people had gathered to watch. Soldiers he had trained, officers he had served with, friends and strangers who wanted to see history being made. Lieutenant Day was there. He clasped Tae's hand tightly. You will do well, Day said. You always do. I will try. Try? Day laughed. You saved an empress and changed history by accident. Imagine what you will do on purpose. Tay smiled. It felt strange. Good, but strange. He walked toward the shuttle. At the ramp he stopped and turned back. He looked at the city, at the sky that had always seemed so far away. Earth, his home, the only world he had ever known. Soon, it would be one of many. He thought of Yuna's words from that first night in the garden. Do not forget who you are. The galaxy needs more people like you. He would not forget. He would carry the best of humanity with him, wherever he went. He would show the stars what his species could be. Not conquerors, not destroyers, but helpers, healers, friends. Kang Tay, the soldier who had saved an empress without knowing it, took a deep breath. Then he stepped forward into the light. The shuttle rose into the sky, carrying him toward the stars. Below, the people of Earth watched until it disappeared among the clouds. A new chapter had begun, for humanity, for the galaxy, for a soldier who had proven that sometimes the smallest act of kindness can echo across the universe. And somewhere among the stars, an empress smiled.